My ex-wife and I had very different views about spending money after the birth of our daughter. 3 years back, she started spending a lot of unnecessary money. I tried discussing budgeting with her, but she refused, saying that all of it was necessary for her. Some of the expenses were definitely necessary, such as a mother's helper, maid, cook, etc. And I had no problem with those expenses that would help her recover from childbirth. But others were purely unnecessary and lavish, such as shopping, etc. Finally had all reached a breaking point when she paid for her brother's college tuition from our joint account without even asking me if I was okay with it. I divorced her and we got equal custody of our daughter, along with me having to pay child support because our daughter was still very small. I also had to give her half of my business. I didn't want to run a business with her, so I sold my business and gave her half the money. I started a new business on my own, and it's doing pretty well now. Today, when I went to my mom's birthday party, my ex-wife was also present. My ex-wife was a family friend, so she's still close to my parents despite our divorce. After dinner, my brothers and I watched a movie. My mom came to me and told me that she wanted to speak to me in private. We stepped out of the house and my ex-wife was waiting for us there. My ex said that she lost all the money she received from me upon divorce because her investments failed. She said that she wouldn't have been in this position if I had been more mature by running the business with her instead of selling it off and protecting just myself. She said that she's been evicted from her apartment and doesn't have the money even for a hotel room, and told me that since I caused this, I should let her stay with me in my house. I refused and said to her that she could leave our daughter with me for the time being and go stay with one of her friends or something. She started crying and my mom said I should be more kind to my ex considering she's a close family friend. Am I the idiot? Black small square. Nah, screw that noise. This is your time to strike. I would get a lawyer and fight for custody. There's no way a woman that demonstrates that she's irresponsible with finances should be able to have custody still. She's not fit to take care of the child. Don't feel bad for her. I guarantee you that if the roles were reversed, they would tell you to deal with it. Tell her to figure it out. The fact that OP didn't laugh in her face and call her ridiculous means he's definitely not the idiot. Marrying someone rich or who becomes rich shouldn't be a set-for-life scheme. If you divorced early on or if you didn't contribute significantly in a way that helped them become more successful. Men and women who get rewarded for marrying well for a brief period are ridiculous idiots, and it's absurd the amounts they get to maintain their lifestyle. Sometimes they're adults. They can get a job, especially if she needed a maid, cook, and whatever a mother's helper is to look after the child in the first place. What was actually left for her to do if everyone else was doing the work? Your ex isn't taking responsibility. Your mom needs to back off or offered her hauser. I'm assuming your ex wanted back in the house because you would never be able to get rid of her and she would try and wear you down into getting back together with her. She paid for her brother's tuition from our joint checking account without even checking to see if I was okay with it. Does anything else need to be said? God, I'm glad you divorced that idiot. She did this to herself. She knows it deep down, but it's easier to blame someone else. Anything else? Everyone's the idiot here. Well, truthfully, lavish shopping after a baby or even while pregnant is probably her way to cope or celebrate your daughter's life. Maybe she was having some untreated postpartum issues and it caused the breakup in the first place. Not helping her as she's your child's mom is crappy, but that's completely up to you. OP, I'd say help her just for the kid's sake. Story 2. I female have been married to Logan male for 6 years. Logan confided in me 2 years ago that he wanted to be a drag queen and I supported that he can be who he is. Honestly, she's a wonderful drag. I'm proud to be married to the person I am and Mia rocks. There's a pub for LGBT people and my husband performs there every 2 weeks. He's not ashamed of it, but he's always been a reserved person with family and even some not so close friends on stage. He frees himself his words. I'm not sure how, but my brother found on IG a concert poster of Mia one weekend, and my brother kept this photo with him at the beginning of the month. It was my mother's birthday, and everyone in the family came with their children and husbands. They were all talking, and my brother turned to Logan and asked, "Is that you photo of concert poster?" And my husband said yes. Everyone in the family was curious and asked to see the photo and started making comments. I will name just a few. Will they make a new version of bird cages with you? I thought you were a man. Where do you hide your pee-pee? Yes, this lemon likes the same fruit. Huh. Tina me, we know your rotten side. Logan was quiet with the comments and laughter, but he was snapping his fingers. He does that when he's really uncomfortable, and I exploded when I heard my dad saying you're not ashamed to see a successful man like that. Tina already told them to stop. I said, since everyone wants to laugh at my husband's rotten side, why don't we talk? I talked about my dad being an alcoholic for 30 years. The amount of cheats my brother gave my sister-in-law, or when my sister stole 10 Kelvin from my parents saying it was for an emergency, and it was actually to travel around Europe. Silence reigned in the room and I was invited to leave by my mother. Since then I was invited from all possible dinners with the justification that I hurt my family members for a joke and brought up things from the past. The decision to uninvite me was my father's, and my mother has been insisting that I apologize to everyone, but I stood firm by saying they should apologize to my husband. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I heard my family members for a joke. Was Logan laughing? If not, it wasn't a joke. If your family thinks their comments about Logan were a joke, you can claim everything you said about them was a joke as well. Funny how bullies never seem to be able to eat the same crappy dishes they so gleefully doled out to others. OP, please see these uninvited as the blessings they are for you and your husband to go no contact and live your best life together without them. I'm glad you stood up for your husband. It's always a joke until the person making the joke is called out. Then all of a sudden feelings are hurt and someone is owed an apology. Your family needs to apologize to your husband, especially your brother, by the way. In regards to your husband, he's allowed to express himself. However, he likes the folks must live a sad life if they have to harass other folks enjoying their best life. Story 3. My wife has known about my twin sister's orientation since we met. We've been married for 5 years about a year ago. My sister confided in me about her feelings for my wife's sister. She thought nothing would come of it since no one knew anything about Jennifer's orientation. Plus, my sister felt weird about it being her sister-in-law regardless. I told her she should go for it since I had noticed them subtly flirting with each other as things quickly transpired. Jennifer was in the closet but had mutual feelings for my sister. Their relationship for months was kept well hidden from everyone, but the entire family noticed how happy Jennifer had become. Finally, they were both ready to get things out. My wife, myself, and our sisters met for dinner one night. My wife was shocked, having just learned her sister was also gay. She was silent most of the dinner. Finally, as we left, she spoke her mind in the parking lot as she said, "This is some disgusting crap. I won't support or even acknowledge your relationship." My wife was disappointed in me that I had known for months but never told her. It wasn't my place to tell, and I honored my sister's request to keep it hidden until they were ready. I came in from work the next evening after the dinner, and my wife was on the phone with her father as he said, "If you had listened to me and not married him, his sister wouldn't have made my daughter gay. He's always hated me, and that only angered my wife." My mother-in-law, on the other hand, was very happy for Jennifer and my sister. A week went by, and there was really no mention of their relationship. I had to stay late at work one night, and I received a frantic call from my sister. My wife and her father showed up at Jennifer's house to talk some sense into her head. My sister was there, and things turned nasty with their father. I left work because I could tell over the phone how things were heading with the screaming in the background. By the time I got to the house, their father was already gone as a coward. So I pulled my wife out of the house and made her go home. Our sisters were upset, crying and feeling horrible about things. I went home and had it out with my wife. I told her that it's not her place to dictate what her sister does with her life. Furthermore, I told her that if she couldn't keep her mouth shut about their relationship, she needed to stay out of her sister's life completely. She accused me of trying to divide the family along with my sister. She also told me it wasn't my place to tell her to stay out of their life. But honestly, it's not her place to pick and choose who her sister loved. My wife is not phobic. She always supports my sister. I've tried getting her to see the good in their relationship. I want nothing more than my sister to be happy after the crappy life we had growing up. But my wife is seriously acting like they're cousins or something. I don't see the issue or feel my wife's embarrassment over their relationship. So am I the idiot? I won't stand for this. She yelled as she and her dad drove to her sister's house to pick a fight about who she was dating. Your wife is phobic. She's okay with it being someone else's sister that's gay, but not when it's one of her own. Good grief. I'm sorry this has blindsided you. You're not the idiot, but you will be if you don't kick your wife out, who was involved in terrorizing your sister and hers just because there are two women in a relationship, to the curb without delay. There is no seeing both sides here, and there's no point in staying for you. Your wife chose her father's side. Who thinks she should have never married you? I'm sorry, but your marriage is over. Seriously. OP's wife traumatized both of their sisters. The fact that OP isn't already out the door is nuts to me. That was some seriously unhinged behavior that will permanently damage their relationship with the sisters. I would be surprised if either of them still wanted to speak to OP if they continue staying with their wife. I'm sorry if that's a reality you're coming to see now. Unfortunately, a lot of awful people will hide behind the notion of "I love everybody" and support other lifestyles until that lifestyle gets to my family. They will then ship that notion to so and so we're making them gay or trans. We need to save them. It sounds like she got it from her father. Full offense. She along with her father are definitely the idiots here. Story 4. So my fiance's old man is hard. He's just a classic man's man. Beer, cars, and whiskey guy. I'm the exact opposite. I write poetry, I design clothes, I work in an office. I'm just not like how he thinks a man should be, and he never lets me forget. He constantly makes it a point to remind me that I better hold on to his daughter, as she's used to having real men in her life, and a real man might come and snatch her up. He also loves to insinuate that I'm gay, which I'm not a fan of. Her brothers are similar and make sure that I know I'm a pretty boy and not a manly man. So if I ever wrong their baby sister, they'll come after me. So last week I went to dinner at her family's house with her parents, brothers, and wives before dinner. The men went out while the women cooked. I tried to stay with the women, but my fiancé told me it would make her happy if I found some way to bond with the guys in her family. So I went out, and it was unpleasant. At first, we talked about football until her brother asked me if I was ever a cheerleader as I looked like the type to wear a skirt. This began a maybe 4-minute long session of them mocking my orientation and masculinity. I tried to be level-headed, but this type of behavior has been happening for the last 4 years. I snapped, I looked at her father in the eye and said, and I quote, "Next time you call me gay, just remember what I do with your daughter." This, of course, was considered out of line and I was met with yelling and an argument ensued. The women all came outside and her dad said that I needed to leave and that I'm too vulgar for this family and I don't respect him, which I don't. My fiancé fought for me to stay, but I was tired of it. My fiancé left with me and she was angry at me but not her dad. She said that I need to be the bigger person and I'm not making my relationship with her family any better. I didn't really have a way to defend myself as she's right. That what I said shouldn't have been said, but I think I'm not an idiot as I've been doing this for 4 years and made one clap back in that time. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This is all cute and funny about your comeback. But the longer-term issue is serious. You need to think about this woman. If she's going to be a good partner, you need to seriously say to her, "Are you okay with them calling me a cheerleader gay and not a real man?" She will say, "Oh, that's just them. You know how they are. Is that how you want to live to your 70 or more?" Her defending these clan members to you. Does your fiancé know how you're treated at Christmas? My father was extremely inappropriate to my then fiancé, now husband, and I shut that down immediately. I will always and forever defend my husband. And if my family crosses a line or makes them uncomfortable in any way, they get one chance to rectify their behavior. We aren't going to my family's Christmas this coming year because of their behavior last Christmas. She should have shut that behavior down or gone no contact with them long ago. Men like this are almost always abusive to the women in their lives. I'm 90% certain that OP's fiancé is afraid of her father because of the information in the post. The solution is to go no contact with her toxic family, though not just passively offering her supposed loved one as a sacrifice on the altar of but family though. Story 4. I, 20 female, live in an apartment next to a family of 3. I've often watched over their kid Sally pre-tween and have been doing that more since the mom Giselle became pregnant recently. Sally asked me how babies are made. I gave you the explanation. Mamas and daddies have eggs, and when they decide to share eggs, the eggs go into mommy's belly for incubation. The egg stays there for a while and grows, and when it's done, out comes a baby. I thought it was a pretty kid-friendly explanation. However, Giselle did not think so. She said she didn't like how I talked about the inappropriate stuff. I don't think I deserved that, but it was her child, so her rules. So I apologized. Giselle asked me to take care of Sally again, and I said that I wouldn't be taking care of her again. When she asked why, I told her I obviously didn't know how she wanted to raise her child, and I wasn't going to get yelled at again. She tried to apologize and say she was having a rough day, pregnancy hormones, and how my explanation was pretty inappropriate. I know she's been having it rough, but I still don't really want to. Am I the idiot? Edit: I was not paid to take care of Sally. I did it for free as a nanny. I've learned to respond. I'm glad you asked. That's a great question to ask mommy when she gets back. I know you're 20 and inexperienced, but don't talk to other people's kids about intimacy in the future. If you don't want them mad at you, even if the kid asks directly, it doesn't necessarily make sense. But it's very common for parents to feel this way. Not the idiot because you didn't know intimacy wasn't even mentioned though, right? It might be your job to tell them how they came to be. But the child asked how babies were made, not how she was made, which is also a ubiquitous question from kids. So OP did give a good explanation while keeping a child friendly. It was not cool that you used your own approach to teaching a kid about how babies are made. Every family has its own approach, and every teacher in the world will tell you that you need to let the parents do it. It was a complete idiot move of her to yell at you, especially in public. And for that she lost a babysitter. You're not an idiot to help her learn that there are real-world consequences for temper tantrums. What every teacher in the world in my elementary school, we learned about how babies were made in grade 3. So at about 8, this has been the case for everyone I know. So how is it the parents' prerogative to tell their kids about it? It's science, and kids should learn science in an age-appropriate way in school. So not the idiot. OP actions have consequences when you yell at your free babysitter and embarrass them in front of the neighbors. You should expect their availability to evaporate.